We met with the town engineer a couple weeks back, and he showed us a couple of sites here in Jamestown that they are considering perhaps using this type of material. And there is a paved area there, and we can almost do the same thing, round it off and bury it into each side with minimal impact to the environment. Do you have anything else to add? Or?
No, I mean, it's truly a system. The only thing I have to add, I think the geotextile, the grid is probably flying around somewhere. I'm not sure who's got it up there. It is truly a system. What you're seeing is that where ArmorFlex was really developed, this product here, was for dam applications. Was for basically dam overtopping, emergency spillways. About 15 years ago, ArmorFlex, or ArmorTech, before Contact owned ArmorTech, stumbled into boat ramps and said, hey, this is a great product for boat ramps. But the difference in things like dams is with dams, you put the geotextile, or in channels or swales or anything, you put the geotextile immediately beneath the blocks. And the reason that you can do that is because you simply have one-dimensional flow which is going over it. When you have wave attack, it's a completely different animal, and we design it completely differently. All the testing for the wave attack was done in Europe at the Delft laboratories. And when you have a wave attack, what you actually do is you set this geotextile down first, you put that stone between, then you put the grid on, so you have a sandwich of stone, which is, this acts like a gaming basket. This is a very high strength, extruded polypropylene grid. So it doesn't tear, it's not polyester, it can't rip, it can't tear, it is there forever. And then you put the block on the top of that. And what that does is it gives you a drainage layer. When the waves come in, the whole idea and the whole premise behind this and the reason it works is because when the waves come in, the waves want to hit this thing, and then that energy from the waves, you've seen it, when the wave hits on the shore, it breaks, and it wants to scour everything in its path. And once any loose material that's not confined is going to get blown around and it's going to move. So the idea is that by trapping all that angular stone beneath this grid, underneath the block, you're dissipating all that energy before it gets to the subgrade. And that's the whole trick, and that's with prop scour, the same thing. Tom showed you pictures of the closed cell block as well. Wherever you have a lot of incidents of prop scour, we do not recommend the open cell block, we recommend the closed cell block. The differences, the trade-offs are, the open cell gives you more stone in contact with your feet, so when you get that nice algae in the summer, being in Jamestown, you won't have a problem, like they would have in, say, East Greenwich. But at the same time, you will get you will get algae growth like you will on any concrete surface. And the more stone you have, the better it is for traction on your feet. You know, talking with your DPW, it sounds like you have a fair amount of boats who are going to be trying to drive their boats onto the trailers with some pretty big engines. So at that level where that is, you want to look at using a closed cell block. And again, that's to simply protect this stone underneath and make sure that no scour gets down to the subgrade. And once that's taken care of and in place, we find that these things, well, once they're in and they're in consistently, we design for the proper amount of scour. Essentially, from that, even if you do get some movement of the subgrade, what's nice about these is that these articulate. As you see us going up over the pipes and everything else, if you do have some movement over time of subgrade, the blocks will move with it. So it's not like you have a paved surface or a cast-in-place concrete surface, you start getting cracking and all that. You're never going to get cracking with something like this, which is also really helpful. Last thing I will mention is that we've done a lot of these, and we have preferred suppliers of stone for these because not all stone is equal. We have working with at Salem Newport and you know learning some lessons over there about the stone. There's one quarry in this area called Peckham Brothers Quarry. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with Peckham Brothers in Middletown. Yes? No? Yeah. Peckham Brothers has been around since the 1860s. If you look at all the stone in Newport in the mansions on all the driveways, all of that macadam stone, it was all crushed at Peckham Brothers Quarries. They've been supplying stone on Quintic Island in this area for 150 years. What happens is that's a pudding stone that they're breaking, and their crushers, Arthur, how old are their crushers? 78 years old that they're running?
A lot of age.
And at least. You can't get crushers like that anymore. And when it fractures the stone, it fractures it extremely angular and extremely sharp. And they'll run about any size stone that we want. Well, we use this grid to interlock with that stone, and what happens is that stone interlocks with this grid extremely tight, and it's extremely angular, and it doesn't move. We've seen stone go in on other projects where the stone has been not as angular and more rounded, and when you have a lot of wave attack situation, you can have some stone that migrates around on the ramp. But we do highly recommend, if you go forward with this, that you demand that the stone comes out of Peckham's quarry, or you find another quarry that has a similar type of
It's
stone.
just that sharp angular stone, it just binds together better than the rounded stone.
And it's extremely dense. It's extremely dense and heavy stone as well.
Yeah, it's a unique stone. The specific gravity is heavier than some of the other stones, so it tends to stay put. It doesn't wash away with rain. And that's critical when you have
Did they use that stone at Selby Ford, or did
It's
they?
Selby Ford, they did not.
Yes, because I noticed it looked like it needed maintenance.
Yep.
I think that's coming out of a quarry in Tiverton. It's a little more rounded. If you were just to pick it up, the two different stones, you can feel the weight difference between the two.
Right. Have you got the slideshow of this one?
Yeah.
Can you show some of the pictures after it was going?
Yeah, this is a pictorial of how they did that popular street. We'll go through this very quickly. I know your time is valuable here. And this is how they're setting up that coffer dam to dewater, to do that excavation. They have a poly liner that they put in. Contractor did a good job. It took him about 6 days to do this entire project. He took 2 days to set up his job site, excavate down. Here he is just beginning his excavating of the driftway. Now they're down at the base, and they're actually developing that toe-in that I described. They actually round that block down and bury it into the harbor, and then put some riprap on top of it to hold it down, to prevent any wave action to potentially attack them. That's well out past any boat would need to go to discharge out into the harbor. They have a dewatering pump you see right there in the foreground. Then the blocks came with those cables already installed on them. They delivered to the job site, and these are the blocks, a little bit heavier and thicker, that are going out a little bit further into the ocean, into the harbor, and that's going to be a little bit heavier and denser for that prop scour that Bill had mentioned. And then they are putting them in. There's the geogrid that we talked about. And there is that woven geotextile. I think we could, those are all the materials there. It's just one roll of geotextile and then the geogrid. And that bar that you see to the right is how we hooked it to the excavators who actually put it in. So it's not a lot of equipment out there. It's a minimal impact to the environment. They excavated down. He's rolling out that non-woven geotextile. There it is right there. Good shot of it. Woven. Putting the stone down, and then he's sandwiching in off to the right there. You can see the grid. Then he put the block in. And here he is approaching that. That's just a storm drain that's there that discharges out to the harbor. And the city was very critical. They didn't want to touch that because it would open a whole can of worms that they didn't want to address. So we were able to round that block up and right over that drainage pipe. And at the end, they actually poured in place a connection pour. And where it met the block, they actually did a closure pour. And as you can see there, they're just beginning to round and roll that block up over the top of it. Oops. There's a good shot of them putting it in. And as you can see, they use that sharper, more angular stone there, really bound together. And this is the installation process where they fill the voids here, and they've yet to fill the voids in that shot right there. Now it's starting to take shape, and they're moving up the ramp itself, and they're rolling in that stone as they progress up the ramp. And it's just about a finished view of how it looks today, if you were to walk out there today.